Hey everyone, it's Kyle. Azor Ahai. Game of Thrones Season 8 The Bells, the penultimate episode of the series, featured the Battle of King's Landing and the Mother of Dragons destroying the city, causing massive destruction with Drogon, killing many innocents and main characters as a result of her actions. Not only that, Bran Stark's Season 4 vision came true as we see the shot of Drogon's shadow in this scene as Daenerys is burning the city to the ground as ravens fly above King's Landing. But the question is, was that Bran, in those ravens, watching everything go down in King's Landing? This wasn't the only vision that came to fruition in this episode either. We see confirmation of what Daenerys saw in her House of the Undying vision with a destroyed Red Keep and ash falling over King's Landing. I can't help but wonder what Varys said to Tyrion, that a very small man can cast a large shadow, is connected to what we saw come to fruition in the last episode. After all, we don't know what was said privately in the conversation with Bran and Tyrion, but I have my suspicions that Bran Stark, the three-eyed raven, could be involved with the third and final twist in the last episode of A Game of Thrones. We know for a fact that Bran has saw glimpses of the future, because he saw the destruction of the Sept of Baelor after the big Hold the Door event at the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. And we know that Bran gave Arya the cat's paw dagger, which resulted in Arya killing the Night King. Are we seeing Bran Stark, the three-eyed raven, play the Game of Thrones, ensuring that the best possible outcome will happen in the season finale? In episode 1 of season 8, we see the conversation between Sansa and Tyrion where she calls him out for trusting Cersei, and she says, "I used to think you were the cleverest man alive." It's curious because during this conversation, if we focus hard enough, we can see that Bran is listening in with the raven on this window. And eerily enough, after Sansa leaves, Bran stares right at Tyrion. Does Bran know something about Tyrion that we don't, or something that Tyrion must do to ensure that the wheel will be broken? We also have the interesting scene where Tyrion is collecting dragon glass before he goes to the crypt, and Bran is being wheeled to the Godswood, and Bran looks at Tyrion. They have an awkward stare, and also the conversation that I mentioned with Bran and Tyrion, where Tyrion asks Bran to tell him about his journey. But all of this is done off screen, which makes me wonder what exactly Bran told Tyrion. Now, in the last episode, we had the execution of Varys and also the capture of Jaime Lannister, but Tyrion sets him free later, which is very curious. Bran also told Jaime back in episode 2 that you won't be able to help us if I let them murder you. In this scenario, we focus on us as the realms of men against the army of the dead, but I also think it applies to Tyrion releasing Jaime, creating further distrust between Daenerys and Tyrion, and eventually what Daenerys may try to do in the season finale. Will Daenerys try and execute Tyrion is what I'm trying to say. But I think it's very curious that Bran says us. Does he mean House Stark in this scenario? We know that Sansa, Arya, and Bran worked together to get rid of Littlefinger last season, so maybe the Starks have a secret plan for this season as well. And Sansa really doesn't like Daenerys at all, so this would connect to what Bran is actually saying. Now, I believe it will be revealed that the previous three-eyed raven tried to manipulate the past and ended up creating the Mad King, which is why Bran has to clean up all of these mistakes. I believe that Bran went looking at all the possible outcomes like Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War, and I believe the results he saw was that no matter what, how hard Bran tried to change the events of the future, the result would always end up the same, and that is with Daenerys Targaryen putting the future of House Stark in jeopardy and also the life of Jon Snow in danger, whom she fears because of his claim to the Iron Throne. The vision that Bran saw after Hold the Door held all the keys to the ending of A Game of Thrones, with the ending of the Night King, with the role of Jaime Lannister, with Daenerys becoming like her father, Mad King Aerys Targaryen, burning down King's Landing, and Bran the Three-Eyed Raven had to make sure that everything was going to go according to plan to make sure the realms of men would survive this war of ice and fire. I believe that we could see in the next episode Daenerys threaten Jon Snow and also threaten Old Town in this episode, which contains proof of Jon Snow's true lineage. Which is really interesting because the Night King represented the threat of killing the Three-Eyed Raven and his keeping of the histories, and if Daenerys threatens Old Town and Jon, she will threaten that history as well. Bran Stark, the Three-Eyed Raven, is ensuring the people who play an important role live to make sure all of this goes down properly. He's moving the chess pieces across the board, and it's why he gave Arya the dagger. It's why he let Theon help him delay things just long enough so that Bran could survive and Arya could kill the Night King. And ultimately, the ripple effects of telling Jon it's your choice, which ultimately affected Jon, Sansa, Arya, and many other characters like we have seen, like Varys in the last episode, and perhaps Tyrion in the season finale. And in the end, I believe what we could see is a council of Tyrion, Samwell, Bran, Sansa, and others who will melt down the Iron Throne and break the wheel. So essentially what I'm saying is Bran Stark, the Three-Eyed Raven, knows how Game of Thrones will end. And I think what we will see in the epilogue towards the end of the episode, in episode 6, is Sam perhaps writing the histories of A Song of Ice and Fire, maybe with Bran or someone like Tyrion. We could see Bran perhaps write that Jaime fought with the realms of men against the army of the dead, or note that he helped with the defeat of the White Walkers. And the truth will be revealed about Jon and his secret and the possible sacrifice he may have to make by killing Daenerys in the final episode to protect his family. And wouldn't it be crazy if one of our main heroes of the story ends up in the same position that Jaime Lannister was in at the beginning of the story, making Jon Snow a Queenslayer? And we know that he loves honor like Ned Stark, and he tries to follow this code of honor, so that would be a really bittersweet ending. In essence, we will see that things are corrected and not just hidden like they were before in the story. But what do you think? Does Bran hold the key to all of this? Is the Three-Eyed Raven actually the main villain of the series and is trying to gain power and manipulate the realms of men for himself? And is Bran the Three-Eyed Raven involved in the third twist of the series? Let me know your thoughts, your theories, and tinfoil in the comments section. And if you want to watch more Game of Thrones videos like this one, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get updated for the daily videos I'll be dropping on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Hype and love.